Thank you very much. Muy buenas tardes a todos y a todas. I hope you'll understand if I do most of my comments in English. Thanks to the organizers for inviting me. My name is Andrew Publicover. I'm an officer at the U.S. Embassy here in Panama, and send warm greetings on behalf of my embassy colleagues and our ambassador, Mari Carmen Aponte. It's great to have this opportunity here to speak with so many distinguished colleagues, not just from here in Panama, but from across the region. I want to pick up on some of the themes that the Admiral touched on, but drill down a little bit to some of the specific examples that we see around the world, and some of the specific cases that we see of this instances of coercive diplomacy. And certainly I wouldn't say that this is a phenomenon unique to any one country. I think we can point to a variety of examples in our region and around the world. But as we think of some of the most prominent headline-grabbing examples of coercive diplomacy around the world over the last several years, one state actor does come to mind. There have been several prominent examples involving the People's Republic of China. And so one of the issues that I look at here in my work at the embassy is engagement between this region and important third countries like China. I work closely with my colleagues at other embassies in the region who cover these same issues. So it's exciting to see some of these issues on your agenda today as you look at security and intelligence challenges in the region. I know tomorrow there will be a discussion specifically on some of the technology-related concerns in this area, but I hope my comments can just briefly touch on some of the broader picture. From the United States perspective, President Biden and our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, have made clear that we see the People's Republic of China as posing a unique long-term challenge to the international order, as being the only country with both the intent and the capability to reshape the international order, with again, that unique economic, diplomatic, military, and technological capacity to do it. We see Beijing with a vision for the world that would move us away from the universal values that have sustained so much of the world's progress and this region's progress for the past 75 years. And we see these examples of coercive diplomacy as one clear manifestation of that. I also want to be clear that President Biden, Secretary Blinken have said the United States is not looking for conflict or a new Cold War. We are determined to avoid those scenarios. We don't seek to block China or any country in this region or elsewhere in the world from growing its economy, building connections with other countries, advancing the interests of its people. This is not about closing our doors or forcing partners to choose sides. But we do see a need to think about ways that we can work more closely together, strengthen our international laws, agreements, principles, and institutions that help us maintain our collective peace and security and protect the rights of our individual citizens and our sovereign nations, make it possible for us all to coexist and cooperate. And we're certainly looking to increase our alignment with allies and partners around the world, including here in this region, as we look to do that. What exactly do we mean by coercive diplomacy or economic coercion? We see countries, including the People's Republic of China, using a variety of tools, particularly China's central position in the global economy, to increase other countries' dependent relationship with them, and then to use that dependence to impose their own foreign policy preferences, and ultimately limit other countries' sovereign scope to make their own choices in their own best interests. Again, there are some headline-grabbing examples that might seem to come from far from this region. There are also other examples from much closer to home, but these lessons are important for all countries to consider. I'll quickly highlight just a couple of examples, and this is all information that's been widely reported in the media. Last year, we saw the PRC impose a de facto trade embargo on Lithuania and block imports into China from other companies that did business with Lithuania, after Lithuania opened a Taiwan representative office in Vilnius. Another example from 2017 to 2020, the PRC severely delayed, restricted, and ultimately blocked important Australian imports after Australia became increasingly vocal about security and human rights concerns in China and blocked certain providers from Australia's 5G network development. And in 2017, the PRC blocked Korean entertainment broadcasts and performances in China and closed a number of Korean retail outlets after South Korea decided to deploy a new missile defense system. So I just want to pause for a moment on these examples and think about these contexts that I've mentioned. These are decisions these countries took to choose which countries or territories to engage with and on what terms, to set criteria to protect their own national telecommunications networks, to make their own decisions about their national defense needs and the systems that they would employ to meet those needs. So these are core sovereign decisions that any country in our region, any country around the world needs to be able to make according to the best interests of its own citizens. And efforts to manipulate, constrain, dictate those decisions ultimately represent a serious concern for sovereignty. There's a recent study out this month from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute that includes much more detail on these examples and some analysis and lessons learned from them. It's called Countering China's Coercive Diplomacy, and it's available on the website of that institute, ASPI. One interesting observation I found that the study's authors made is that at least by one measure, the PRC's coercive diplomacy is actually remarkably ineffective. In several of the cases I highlighted, the PRC efforts actually failed to change the core policy decision that they were meant to be targeting. But, this study assesses, the larger effect may actually be on other countries worldwide, sort of a chilling effect that attempts to impose boundaries and pressure governments around the world to effectively self-censor and hold back from certain policy positions, policy statements, policy decisions they might otherwise take in their own interest. So what can countries around the world do in response to this risk of coercive diplomacy that's been highlighted in these examples that I've mentioned involving the People's Republic of China, but that could ultimately come from a variety of directions? Here I would highlight the strategy that the Biden administration has put forward with regard to our engagement with China, and that is align, invest, compete. In the United States, we think it's really important to invest in the foundations of our own strength and resilience at home, our competitiveness, our innovation, our interconnectedness, our democracy. And so we've undertaken a series of efforts to revitalize our manufacturing and high-tech industries at home and diversify and strengthen supply chains, just as two examples. All of these efforts make our own economy and our society more resilient to this kind of coercive pressure and better able to present a positive alternative to partners around the world. And as I say, we're looking to align these efforts increasingly with allies and partners all around the world, including, importantly, from here in this region. Some pieces of these efforts that you may have heard about, including some major bipartisan pieces of legislation passed in the United States in recent years, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act, have actually created specific new opportunities and funding streams for increased cooperation here in this region. And we know a number of partners here in the region are excited about the possibilities and opportunities for all of our economies under ideas like nearshoring, friendshoring, bringing manufacturing closer to home. So this alignment ultimately strengthens all our hands in pushing back against activities from the PRC or any country that would seek to coerce other governments, distort markets, undermine the success of our own workers, businesses, and citizens. So the United States looks forward to ongoing discussions with partners here in the region and around the world on ways we can continue to strengthen that investment in all of our countries and strengthen our alignment on these issues as we sort of find our way through some of these new diplomatic challenges that we face in the world today. Thanks.